Hello, everyone. This is Todd Brow with Senior Insurance Marketing, and we have GCU, Greek Catholic Union, and to tell us more about their final expense with the funeral trust, irrevocable funeral trust on it, is Gary Sorenson, and he's going to tell you about this great product, a product that you need to put in your toolbox because this is very rare with a funeral trust, irrevocable funeral trust. There's only, I think, one or other company that has this, but not like GCU. So, Gary, welcome to our webinar today. And can you tell us more about the great GCU final expense product?
Well, thank you, Todd. I appreciate the opportunity to get in front of everybody and talk to them today. So again, I'm Gary Sorenson. I'm the Director of Sales here at GCU, and I was asked to come in and talk about our final expense product as well as talking a little bit about our irrevocable burial trust. But just kind of before we get going, who is GCU? GCU has been around since 1892. We started with only $600. Since then, we've grown to be over $2 billion in assets under management, and we're a nonprofit company. So I know probably some of you have used fraternals before, but really, what is a fraternal? What does it do? Just kind of a quick overview. Fraternals as a nonprofit provide additional benefits to their members beyond simply the product that's being offered. We have other benefits as well. We have scholarships available for our youth. We have debt reduction for our college students who just graduated from college. Our Go Give is a charitable campaign where we actually match your funds. So as an agent, if you're giving to a charity, we'll match that up to $100. And your clients as well, if they're doing a donation, we'll match that money. One of the things that we do offer is an affinity program that fits in this demographic, specifically for the final expense, and that's a benefit and discount for hearing aids. Hearing aids are really expensive. I know I've had some in-laws who've lost them, and it's really expensive to get those things. So by owning a GCU policy, they also have the ability to get access to a discount on hearing aids. So that's just a high level in regards to who GCU is and what they are. But let's just talk about the product itself. And the product itself, we're available in 28 states. The only state we're not available in right now as far as where GCU does business is California. So this map can be found on our microsite, and I'll show that to you here a little bit later in the presentation. I do want to point out one thing, is that you must be contracted in the state that you're soliciting business prior to soliciting the business, because we want to use the e-application, and the e-application will be rejected if you're not appointed in that state. So that's an important thing. You can go back out to the licensing link that was sent to you by Senior Insurance Marketing and go back in through that and actually pick additional non-resident states, or you can give us a call after the fact and be able to do that. So again, in order to get contracted with GCU, you get a link from Todd and the folks over at SIM in order to get that information, but you have to be appointed in the different states prior to soliciting that business. But let's get into the basic product itself. There's the product is available from issue age 45 to 85. It's based on attained age. There's a $40 policy fee that's commissionable regardless of what underwriting status they get, as far as if they're a preferred, standard, or a modified. So just a few things that kind of set us apart. So on our preferred, it's a level death benefit, maximum face of $35,000. We have the accelerated death benefit for terminal illness and nursing home confinement. That is a no-cost rider. It only has cost after it's exercised. And then we also have a grandchild rider, where for $2 per 1,000, they're able to insure each grandchild. So the cost is based on per grandchild. It's $2 per 1,000. That's an annual cost. And you actually can add grandchildren after the policy is issued. So if they have a future grandchild that comes along and they want to provide them a little piece of term insurance, they can do that. That term insurance is convertible in the future as well. So just a high level aspect of that. Our preferred also has tobacco and non-tobacco underwriting class. So just know that in our pricing, we have the ability to take care of both. In our standard, again, we have both the tobacco and non-tobacco available. Maximum face is at $25,000. We have the grandchild rider, and again, that policy fee is commissionable during that first policy year. Our modified also has a preferred, it has a both tobacco and non-tobacco status associated with it, and a maximum face of $15,000. The the death benefit on our modified is going to be a return of premium during the first 3 policy years, and then that 4th year it goes to that level death benefit. But again, that maximum face is $15,000. No riders available on that, and again, tobacco and non-tobacco. So again, just a quick overview: preferred, standard, modified each have tobacco, non-tobacco. Issue ages are 45 to 85. Maximum face, preferred 35,000, standard 25,000, modified 15,000. So you have the ability to kind of take care of those things. But the one thing that sets us apart is a market difference maker for you, that as you being able to tell GCU, nobody else has this, because we've been some changes in the marketplace. We are the only one that offer an irrevocable burial trust that can be utilized to be the owner and the beneficiary of the policy. So why is it important to have the irrevocable burial trust? Well, basically what that does is this removes that asset from the Medicaid spend down requirements. So that money has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is for burial purposes. It's totally portable in the fact that you're not locked into one funeral home. You have the ability to go wherever you need to go in order to handle the funeral home costs. And the whole key here is that irrevocable aspect of it. Now, the trust does have a couple little caveats in it. One is the minimum issue age is 50. The policy is 45, but the minimum issue age is 50. One thing to be aware of the fact, based on the death benefit and the size of the death benefit, you can actually take an enforced policy and actually have it fall underneath the irrevocable burial trust. So you can actually transfer ownership at older ages as long as that death benefit falls within the criteria. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. I also want to point out that irrevocable burial trust is available with all underwriting classes. So a modified individual can still use the burial trust, standard and preferred, so they're able to take advantage of those things. Now, what I was talking about a little bit earlier is because we have this trust established and it's registered with each state, there are maximum death benefits that are available in this situation. And each state kind of assigns that maximum amount that they can utilize. The trust is not available in Michigan or West Virginia, but it is in the other states in which we conduct business. But something to be aware of is you cannot commingle funds with irrevocable burial trust and your standalone policies. So let's say somebody qualified for a preferred underwriting status. They want the full $35,000 worth of death benefit. Well, what would happen is, and they want to utilize the irrevocable burial trust. What would happen is they would need to actually do the burial trust as the owner beneficiary for $10,000, because that's the max amount that the state of Georgia allows. And then the remaining $25,000 would have to be in their name, and then their named beneficiaries to do those things. So that it have to be 2 separate policies. You're not able to commingle those funds. Again, because of the Medicaid spend down requirements, you have to have those allocated just to one particular situation. So again, burial trust, the persistency in that business is higher than average as far as having that money in-house. And right now, we are the only company that actually offers a burial trust with somebody who's paying monthly premiums. I know there's another carrier out there. They've just changed it where it's only for single premiums. We actually allow it on the month-to-month premium. So that sets GCU apart. You have that in your briefcase. Nobody else will have that. That sets you apart when you get into a competition situation. Now, we've tried to make life really simple in the fact of being able to get access to the GCU information. We've created this microsite. This microsite is not password protected. You can get to it via your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever the case may be. And that is finalexpense.gcuusa.com. Do not put the www in front of it. It's just simply finalexpense.gcuusa.com. The most important button on the screen is the big red one. It's the e-application. The e-application is where you'll actually do the application. You'll get that instant decision. And guess what? You get paid faster. So that's why you want to utilize that e-app as much as you can. But before you get into using that e-app, there's a couple things I want to point out here on this microsite. If you run into a situation where you do not have internet access or you don't have phone access as well, you can actually do paper applications. Now, you can download those from this website underneath the submitting business area of our microsite. Know that you're not going to get into decision. You can fax it in and we'll put it into the process, and it turns around as quickly as we possibly can. But know that you have to have that application and you have to have it in good order in order for it to get processed as quickly as possible. Now, that e-application, before you meet with the client for the very first time, or you meet with a client, you need to go out and register for that e-app. So after you've gotten licensed under Senior Insurance Marketing, you'll need to go out and you'll get a welcome email from GCU. That welcome email will actually give you the instructions to go out to register for that e-application. You'll go to the same website, finalexpense.gcuusa.com. And by the way, you'll get sick of me telling you the website, but this is your one-stop shop in regards to anything on GCU Final Expense. You'll use the email that you used when you registered to get contracted, and you'll use a generic password, GCU 1892 with an exclamation point. You'll put that in. So you'll go to the website, you'll click on the e-app button, that big red button. It's going to ask you to, for the very first time, put in your email address, and you put in that generic password. It will then prompt you to actually create your own password. It's your responsibility. I don't know it. There's no way I can go out and find it. It's yours alone. However, if you happen to forget that password, when you log in that second time, just like any other financial website or any other password protected website, there's a spot in there where you forgot your password. You can actually go out and reset that. And so it'll ask you some basic information. It'll email you the instructions in order to get into that e-application. Again, 24/7 capability to be able to do that. So if nobody's on the phone available to help you out at GCU during our hours, you can actually go out and take care of this yourself. So just know that you have that ability. But I wanted to show everybody what that e-app looked like. So it starts out with this dashboard. This dashboard has you select the state that you're going to be writing it in, that you're going to input the date of birth of the client that you're meeting with, and the agent account is going to be pre-populated with your information. And all you do is simply click on the plus new e-application. We start the whole process. The process is pretty simple. It's 14 steps. So on the left-hand side, it's like a ladder. As each step is completed, that blue circle will turn into a green one with a white check mark. And that way you know that you've completed it and gotten it done. We've highlighted all of the mandatory fields that must be completed in order to have the application in good order in order to process that. And again, we put out the little reminders, maximum face for preferred, standard, and the modified and how it looks out there. To start out with, we're going to ask for the client's name, their gender, and of course it pre-populates with their date of birth and their age. And then we actually jump right into the eligibility questions. Please be sure you read these eligibility questions carefully because they may ask over certain time frames, over past 5 years. Have you ever been diagnosed, or in the last 12 months? If they answer yes to one of these questions, they're going to be a decline. And what will happen is the application will go directly to the signature page. You'll sign it and it'll be completed. Then you'll need to go and find a company that does the guaranteed issue. But if they've answered no to all of these questions, we move forward. All right. And again, you notice on the left-hand side where my blue arrow is, I've got my introduction complete. I got my eligibility complete. It's got that green circle, white check mark. We're good to move forward. Now we start entering in actual information about the client. Now, one of the number one things that we have coming back to us is we're having Social Security numbers inputted incorrectly. I may have a Robert applying for an application, and when we go back as a financial institution, we have to do a know your client background check. It's for your protection to make sure that you're talking to the person who they say they are. So if I have Robert in front of me and he gives me his Social Security number, we do our know your customer background check, and it comes back with Gladys as the name. That's a problem. That means that the application is going to get kicked out. It's going to cause us to actually make a phone call to you to get clarifying that information. So just like a carpenter says, measure twice, cut once. Well, I'm going to ask you to input it, look at the number, input the number, look at the number again to verify that it's correct. Again, as far as getting it in there correctly, increases the speed of that approval process to make sure that you get it all done correctly and get it taken care of. In the same area, we're going to ask for, again, their, where they were born, their current address, a phone number. Again, these are all different tools that we utilize for the know your customer, as well as if there's additional information that's needed along the way. Then we'll actually jump into our modified questions. Our modified questions do require them to list a doctor that they have seen. It can't be a walk-in clinic, but a doctor that they see. So the name of the doctor or the medical group they go to, their address. We're going to ask for the last time they actually saw the physician. So don't get hung up on the actual language. The physical is different than what we're actually asking for. What we're asking for is the last time they went to the doctor, they had their blood pressure taken, their temperature taken, all those kinds of things. It's the last time that they saw the doctor. We separate the feet, the height in the feet and inches and their weight, and then we start asking about if they're a tobacco user or not. And then we actually get into the modified questions. If they answer yes to one of the modified questions, they could potentially qualify for modified. If they answer yes to two of those questions, they're going to be declined. And again, please be aware of the time horizons in the past year, past 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, those situations. So be aware of how those happen. From there, we jump into the actual health questions. If they answer yes to one of these health questions, they could still potentially get a standard underwriting class. So I'll say that again. If they answer yes to one of these health questions, they could still potentially get a standard underwriting class. A good example of this is the COPD. Well, I know that we have a lot of COPD out there, but if they don't have any other underlying, insurable concerns, and all they have is COPD, they actually could get a standard underwriting class. That's one of the things that does set GCU apart. I know from some of the competitors is somebody with COPD could potentially still get a standard underwriting class to do those things. But again, make sure that you read through the questions and answer them, because have they ever been, or in the past 3 years, there may be some drop downs that happen along the way as well, but just be aware of those pieces. And then we jump into the owner information. If the owner is the same as the insured, it's going to pre-populate all that information. If it's not, and you want to utilize the irrevocable burial trust, you'll click no, and there's a drop down box. It'll give you the GCU irrevocable burial trust as a possibility. It's going to give the spouse or a child, anybody who has the insurable interest is going to be in that drop down box, and then you'll input that information. If they're using the irrevocable burial trust, it pre-populates all that information. And just know that the irrevocable burial trust is not only the owner, but they are also the sole primary beneficiary of this policy. Again, that's how it is removed from the Medicaid spin down. And I also want to point out, again, irrevocable burial trust, ages 50 to 85 is its availability, and it's available in all the different underwriting classes, preferred, standard, and modified. From there, you input the beneficiaries. We can list up to 6 beneficiaries under primary, first name, last name, their date of birth, and their percentage share. We do ask that you do have the actual birth date of that individual. Putting in a dummy birth date is going to cause it to actually get kicked out. If you don't know the Social Security number, please do not put that in there. Now, that will also cause it to get kicked out. Only fill in the fields that are highlighted, just the yellow fields. That's the key in order to make this work. In some situations, you may have contingent beneficiaries. You don't have to have them, but if you do, you have the ability to add up to 6 of the contingent beneficiaries along the way. And then we also have our premium calculation where we get into it. So we choose the effective date. The effective date is the date in which the very first premium is put into force, used to put the policy in force. We like to have the effective date as close to the application date as possible. Then you also put in the face and you choose the frequency of payment, and then you can actually go out and do a quick calculation of the quote to give you an idea what that cost would be. We also maintain a rate book on our website. So for us old dogs that have been in the business a while, that rate book where you choose the death benefit and their age based on where you think they are, and you can figure out what the monthly cost is. So back in the time before calculators, I think is when the rate books came out, we're able to utilize those pieces as well. Then we start asking some of the basic NAIC questions about replacement of policies, or if they've been declined for any other policies. This is a required field on the application that's put out there for us to do. And then we get into the agent certification. So the agent certification questions, I just want to urge you, really, as you first time you go through this, the first or second time, please be sure you're familiar with the questions, because they are not all no questions. They are not all yes questions. So you need to make sure that you're reading through that carefully. We also want to make sure that you put in an agent phone number, the number that we can get a hold of you. GCU does not do follow-up phone calls with the clients. If we have questions on applications, we call you the agent. We funnel everything through you, the agent. We don't do those direct calls or ask medical questions. We don't have follow-up calls that way. So that's how we come together to do those things. As far as our ability to set up the payment, the first payment has to come out within 30 days of that effective date. You're able to choose a specific day of the month. You can do a specific day and week of the month, or a specific date that you're able to do those things. We only take money from a bank account, whether it's checking or savings. Our number one not in good order issue is wrong routing number, wrong account number. So that's the number one issue with us. So what happens is that comes back to us as an NSF, and guess what happens? Unfortunately, you end up getting charged back your commissions because of that number beat incorrectly. Please be sure that you're measuring twice, cutting once, like a carpenter, that you get those numbers in there correctly. If you get those in there correctly, everything's going to function just like it's supposed to. Then we have them fill out the HIPAA form, and then they actually sign the application. So you'll do that right there on the spot. And then we'll request the underwriting. Underwriting, our expectations on the instant decision was to have it come back within 5 minutes. Right now, we're averaging 90 seconds, 1.5 minutes to get you an answer back. If that's not fast enough, I don't know what is. But I'll throw out this, is that you'll get 3 answers back. Approved as applied for. You'll have a counter offer based on the underwriting decision, or you'll get a decline. If there is a counter offer based on the underwriting decision, it will actually pull the amendment up right there on the spot for you to be able to utilize and fill in that information, and you'll do the signature right there. So when you're with the client, we try to make it that everything is done right on the spot and you don't have to go back to them. It's done, it's done, it's done. So we get it all taken care of in that aspect. So again, that instant decision, 90 seconds, approved as applied for, a counter offer, or a decline that happens in that situation. So the agent resources, where do you find information out about the GCU policy? Well, again, you go back to that microsite. It's not password protected. It's not behind a firewall. You can get to it. It's public for the most part. You just go to that finalexpense.gcuusa.com. And this is where you're going to get some of those agent resources. We put together a client brochure that you can print out and leave behind with your client in regards to explaining what a final expense policy is and the different pieces of the puzzle that go there. But probably the most important piece that you can provide yourself is the underwriting guide. With final expense, field underwriting is so important. And so you need to know kind of, what the clients and what kind of drugs they're taking, what conditions they're doing, all those different things. And so in our underwriting guide, we've taken the liberty to be able to go out and kind of add a few things in here. So we've added the weight chart. We've listed some of the total uninsurable conditions, but we've also gone out and actually created some medical definitions as far as if they have a certain condition, are they underwritable or not underwritable? So here's an example where I have the COPD there listed on the left-hand side, possibly a standard death benefit, assuming no other conditions are prevalent or evident in their health and what goes on there. We have the medication list. So if you have, they bring out their little container full of their 20 medications, you can look at those medications, or you can look based on the impairment and get an idea of, one, when the refill happened, and second, as far as what their underwriting class potentially could be. So it's a 19-page document. The best thing you can do for yourself is download it, become familiar with it, so you're aware of what's out there. So a really key thing to have there. The irrevocable burial trust, again, no other company has this, and it's worth your time to actually download this little piece. It's a really powerful and useful piece for you to understand what the trust is and how it works. It's also going to give you, again, remind you the maximum amount of face that you're able to offer the clients in these situations. And then we actually have a sample of what the trust says. So if you have those people that are a little bit analytical and want to make sure they understand what it is and how it reads, you actually have a copy of it that you can read and understand and see. You could actually share it with your client for them to take a look at if they're wondering what's going on. If you choose the irrevocable burial trust in the e-application, it automatically loads into the policy pages itself. You don't have to do anything extra. It's all automated. It all happens on the back end. Now, we've got through kind of, how to submit the business, where to find information on the business. But now, where do I find out if I get paid or not to write the business? Because I don't work for free. I don't think you do either, Todd. But we want to make sure that we get paid in this situation. We want you to go to our agent portal. So after you got contracted with GCU, you probably received a second email from us that talks about being able to register for the agent portal. The agent portal, again, is found on finalexpense.gcuusa.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything final expense at GCU. You'll have to complete the registration aspect of it, and you'll utilize your agent number, which was provided in that welcome email, and you'll set your password, and then it will allow you to get into that website. If you forget the password, we have it again. We got you covered. We have that forgot password down there. You can go in and fill in that information with your email address, and we'll get you repopulated and all set in order to be able to push that out there. So again, you have the ability to get access to those things. When you get into the agent portal, first and foremost is going to tell you what policies were paid, and it's updated on a daily basis, because we do pay commissions on a daily basis. We pay commissions based on approved application, not when it's funded. We release the commissions it should show up in your account within 48 hours, depending on the weekend or a holiday. It may throw it off a little bit, but you're able to go out and see that. You'll also be able to go out and pull copies of the application. So if you have a paper app, if you like a paper file on your clients, you can go in and actually download a copy of the application and put that in your files as well. Our news and announcements area kind of lets you know if there's anything changes coming up or any new news that's happening there. And then our links are going to give you some of the access to some of the different servicing forms to kind of get into those different pieces. Now, at GCU, we're located just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So that puts us in the Eastern time zone. So we're there till 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. On Fridays. Our number, again, if you give us a call, we don't have a phone tree. When you call, you get a live person. And that number is 855-306-0608. And again, during those business hours, we have people there that are there to help you get answers in regards to underwriting, to the going through the e-application, those types of questions to have out there. If it's after hours, feel free to email us as well, agentservices@gcuusa.com, and we'll get somebody to get back to you as soon as possible. With that, that's kind of my presentation, Todd. I'm going to turn it back over to you to kind of let you kind of go back to where we need to be.
Sure, you bet. Thanks, Gary. Really appreciate it. And again, GCU, a great final expense product. Also, they have annuities as well too. Great interest rate on annuities. But their final expense product, 45 to 85 and 5,000 to 35,000. And also, I can't stress it enough. The uniqueness of this of GCU and their final expense is the irrevocable funeral trust. Because I don't know about you, Gary, but I heard one time going to an attorney to have a funeral trust drawn up was like $700. And so have you heard anything different than that, Gary?
No, it ranges from $700 to $900. So I mean, it's a company generated, it's for free. I don't know why more people don't utilize it, because it makes sense.
Yeah, and so basically you've already created the will, so to speak. So why create the will and pay for it when it's right here with GCU, and you can utilize the irrevocable funeral trust right there as well too. So also, as you can see, the e-application is very easy to use, and also I just can't talk about this enough is that the microsite, no password, no ID and password to get onto it. It's right there, and it's all the information is at your fingertips right there as well too. So, if you're not contract with GCU, give us a call here at Senior Insurance Marketing. Our number is 877-800-3080, and we'll be happy to get you contracted with GCU. If you're already contracted with GCU, give us a call anyway. We'll be happy I'd be happy to get, help you with a quote for a client that you're working with, and or any other questions you have about the product as well too. So also go on to our website at simkt.com, and also go to our quoting tool as well too for final expense, Medicare supplements, and Medicare Advantage as well. And GCU is in the quoting tool as well. So again, Gary, thanks for telling us about GCU, the Greek Catholic Union final expense product with the irrevocable trust. And like Gary said a little in the presentation, that this is the only irrevocable funeral trust that has a continuous pay premium on the policy. And that's pretty much the majority of the folks are, on the budget to have a continuous pay premium policy, and GCU is the ticket for them. The other product that's out there is now a single premium, and most folks don't have the single premium to come up with for that. So again, give us a call here at Senior Insurance Marketing. Our number is 877-800-3080, and I'd be happy to help you out, because we are here to help you grow your business. Thanks, Gary. Really appreciate it, and take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.